Welcome to episode 78 of the J-Bunny's Music Hub podcast. I'm your host, J-Bunny. For this episode, I'm joined by my friend Andy Kalipetis. We've been friends for about 20 years and have been around the New Jersey music scene together. Andy was in a band for a time called Quarter Inch Fuse. I'll find out throughout the show about some other projects that he's done. I'll also talk about going to shows together and a lot of talk about drums because Andy's a drummer. I think this is a really fun episode, and I think that you guys are going to enjoy it. So without further ado, here's Andy.
All right, what's up, everybody? It is J-Bunny. I am here at what we call the Bunny Hops Bar, which is just the bar between my living room and dining room. Joining me today on the show is long friend, I don't want to say old friend, although we were talking about how old we have gotten, Andy Kalipetis. How's it going, Andy?
What's up, man? I'm really thrilled to be here, man. I've been listening to this podcast for a long time. You know, before you turned that recorder on, we were talking about how you feel like, how does a guy like me get to go to a concert and be like, hey, I want to ask you some questions, and people are like, okay. And what I'd said to you is, it's because you're nice to people. You don't come up, oh my God, Mr. So-and-so, you're the best guitarist ever, can I take care of you? You're just like, hey man, I like your stuff, and I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. Yeah. And, I think that's definitely to your credit. You're very approachable, and your content's really good.
Well, I appreciate that.
I enjoy it. I think you ask really good questions, and you cultivate really good conversation, too.
Oh, I appreciate that. Hopefully that will continue. I will say the only time I've ever met someone where it was like a little bit of a holy shit, and I don't know if I've ever told you this story, but I was in the city at a concert for the band Texas Hippie Coalition, which I don't know if you're familiar.
I know, yeah.
And it was them and the band Eve to Adam.
Pissed off about it.
Yeah. So it was Texas Hippie Coalition and Eve to Adam. And I'm standing in the crowd during Eve to Adam's set, and I turn around, and fucking Dann Florek, who played Captain Kragen on Law & Order, is in the crowd.
I would have freaked out about that, dude.
I was like,
what
the fuck? And I found out after the fact that he was friends with Eve to Adam because he played a cop in one of their music videos.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he was still on Law & Order at the time, so they were in the city. He was in the city.
Oh, my God.
So he came out. And so I went up to him. I said, listen, I don't normally do this, but no one is going to believe that I saw you here today. Can we get a picture together? And so, we took a picture. He's like, oh, we got to do this proper. He throws up the horns and everything.
That's fucking awesome, man. That's so cool. I love that guy. Loretta and I are huge Law & Order fans, from the beginning.
Yeah.
So, that's so cool to hear that he's not a jerk.
Yeah. No, he was awesome. And I posted the picture, and then Casey wasn't with me. She's like, I hate you right now.
That's so cool. I ran into Bret Scallions.
From Fuel?
From Fuel in Disney World.
Oh, wow.
In 2011, I was there with my mom, my dad, and my two sisters. We decided instead of getting each other Christmas presents, we'd all just pay our way and go to Disney 2 weeks before Christmas.
Nice.
And we're walking through Frontierland, and I was coming from Frontierland and heading towards the Haunted Mansion. For all you Disney dorks, you know exactly where I'm talking. And I was with Noelle, and I could see across, and I was like, "Yo, that's Bret Scallions." I said to my sister, and she goes, "From Fuel?" Because even though she's 8 years younger than me, I listened to a lot of Fuel, and she picked that up, and she's a big Breaking Benjamin fan. So, we're getting close, and I could see, he's with a lady, and they're pushing a baby carriage and whatnot, and as he gets close, I was, real close, I just kind of leaned in, and I was like, "Hey, man, I'm not going to blow up your spot, but I wanted you to know I'm a big fan of your music. Enjoy your vacation." He was like, "Oh, yo, thanks a lot, man." And just walked up. It was cool. I was nervous as hell, though.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I'm not going to say, I like Fuel, but they're not oh my God, my all-time favorite band ever.
Yeah.
But, I was just I can't believe. The same trip, I met Joe Rohde, who was the head of Disney Imagineering.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was just walking through Animal Kingdom. And I was like, habba, that's Joe.
Well, right, because you're a big Disney guy.
Yeah, I'm a huge Disney nerd. I'm a big guy and a big nerd for Disney.
So we were at the Ren Fair. We'll steer this back to music in a minute.
Sorry.
We were at the Ren Fair, all season, and there was a couple of weeks back, I was standing with Casey and some friends at the spot that we normally hang out, and this girl that I've acquainted with from Fair for years. I wouldn't call us friends, but we know each other. We've talked. We know who each other are and everything. And she's walking past, and I hadn't seen her at all that season. So I was like, oh, hey, how's it going? And she had like a group of people with her, and they stopped and they talked to us for a couple of minutes. And as we're standing there, there's someone with them, and I'm like thinking, I'm trying to figure out who the fuck it is, because it might just be some person that I've seen before.
Right.
As soon as they walked, or right before they walked away, it clicked. And just like I didn't make a scene, as soon as they left, I said to everybody, I was like, that was Rosario Dawson just now.
Yo, no way, bro.
And Casey was sitting on the ground and had her back to them the whole time, so she didn't even see her. She's like, I can't believe she was right there and I missed her.
This is the last one, I swear. After I had my spinal surgery, I was following up with the surgeon in Manhattan, and the elevator door opens, and in walks Martha Stewart.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She looked absolute, like she walked in, and I turned white as a sheet. And she went, oh. She had like a little smile, like, because she figured out I knew who she was, and I was just like, good morning, like I was trying not to be like, oh my god. And before she got off, I was like, Miss Stewart, I just want to tell you, I think you are absolutely fantastic. She's like, oh, well, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. I was like, All right, back to music.
So you and I, we met each other back in high school, and I remember that, like, I knew of you before I knew you, because you were dating at the time a friend of mine.
Yeah, I was dating a friend of yours, yeah.
And you lived in Vernon. I also lived in Vernon, but we had never crossed paths. And then I don't know if we met through, like, I knew you were dating her, but I don't know if we met through her or if we met through the coffee house.
Actually, we met through the coffee house. The infamous coffee house, to folks who remember it, that was the spot to hang out in Vernon, the Appalachian Coffee House. Yeah. Shout out to Marianne Santapietro for giving us a place that we could talk about, now that we're in our 40s. We're like, yeah, when we were growing up in the 90s, bro, we had this awesome coffee house, and all the cool kids hung out there, and we were all weirdos. And right? I mean, that pretty much covers it. And
yeah. I had Zacher on the show. We talked about it a bit.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Zacher.
So we were talking,
fantastic musician.
Yeah, we were talking about, all of his stuff, but, I had recently seen him with his band. Now they're called Frankie Goes to Dollywood.
Frankie Goes to Dollywood, yeah.
But, yeah, so we talked a lot about, the coffee house and sort of the Sussex County scene and all of that. And so so you and I met back then. Mm-hmm. We hung out. We were talking before. We went to Ozzfest together. The first time I ever went to Starland, which I've been to probably hundreds of times since,
was with me.
Was with you. We saw Cradle of Filth. And
yes, it was me and you and Casey in my big Cadillac. I had a 1998 Cadillac Sedan DeVille, and it was black with black leather and a black cloth top, and it was like I'm half Sicilian. It was a real Guinea mobile, except that you could hear heavy metal blasting out of it any time of day or night. And we took the trip down. I remember there was traffic on the Parkway, and I was freaking the fuck out. We were going to be late because it was Bleeding Through, Arch Enemy, Cradle of Filth.
Right, and the band Himsa was supposed to play,
and they bailed, and I was like, whatever. The other three were like three of my favorite bands.
I've actually seen, I think, all of those bands. I mean, obviously I've seen them since, but I think I've seen them all at Starland since.
Oh, no shit.
Bleeding Through being the most recent.
Yeah, I know they're just out on that tour.
Yeah, like beginning of this year, because God Forbid reunited, and they played with God Forbid at Starland back in January.
That's awesome. Bleeding Through, I'd only seen them that one time when you and I went, and I was so floored. Yeah. It was just as good as I had hoped it would be. And I mean, This Is Love, This Is Murderous is just one of those. That's one of those albums, even at 42 years old, if you put on, what is it, Love Lost in a Hail of Gunfire?
Yeah.
As soon as it opens up, I'm going to kill people. like, get out of the way. The old guy has gone completely batshit, and I am wrecking motherfuckers in the pit if you're putting that shit on. It makes me want to run through walls. I don't know what it is, man. It just... I really like it. I don't play that style, but they're fantastic musicians. And I don't, forgive me for not remembering the follow-up album, but they went in a much more black metal direction. Mm-hmm. And I really liked that album too because it was them with a lot of like really awesome speed picking runs and blast beats. I was like, oh, I like both of these things. This is excellent.
So you mentioned playing. I wanted to ask you about that. So, you, as long as I've known you, you've had your drums, you've been in a couple bands, you're in a band currently. But so how did you start playing music? So,
I'm not in a band currently.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I was, but you know how that goes.
Yeah,
man.
yeah, okay.
It's music.
I didn't know that.
Now you know, and so does everybody else. So in 8th grade, I slept over Doug Kimball's house, and we watched the Metallica live shit box set. So this would have been 1994.
Okay.
That box set was still pretty new. We watched it on VHS. And I watched Lars kick the absolute shit out of this gigantic white and black double bass Tama kit for like 4 hours. And I was like, yeah, okay. I want to play drums, and that's what I want right there. I need a Tama kit. I was into Nirvana. Dave Grohl played Tama. I liked Slayer. Dave Lombardo was playing Tama. There was a point in time where Vinnie Paul was a Tama player for a little while, and so it made sense to me. 8th grade graduation, my parents bought me a Tama kit.
Okay.
From Sussex County Music from Mr. Lamaro. I still have that kit. It's set up at church. I use that one at church.
Okay.
And then that was the start, man. And just over COVID, I finished refurbishing my big 9-piece double bass kit. I did a Lars inspired one. Instead of regular plain white, I used a white glass glitter material, and the pictures, it doesn't sparkle in pictures. You've seen it in person. Yeah. Like, anybody who sees it in person goes, oh my gosh, it doesn't look like that in the picture. And I did everything with black hardware because I'm a nerd, and, I don't have cars. I don't know hot rods. I don't have a gambling problem. I don't go to the titty bars. So my girlfriend said I could spend the money on that.
So the first band that I knew about that you were in was Quarter Inch Fuse, but were you in a band before that?
Oh, yeah, man. All the way back in high school with Doug Kimball, actually.
Okay.
It's me, Doug Kimball, Mike Maloof, Connor Fortune. This would be our sophomore year, so it was fall of 97?
Okay.
Fall of 97.
I feel like that works based on the years I was in high school, because you're a couple years older than me.
So we played, they organized a benefit at the McAfee Firehouse for, do you remember Reverend Steele, Josh Steele's dad?
Yeah, yeah.
So they were building the new church, and it was a fundraiser, and we did 6 bands for $6.
Oh,
so it was us, a bunch of Wallkill bands like Watson Poe. So Zacher was there.
Yeah.
Chris Solinsky, who I've played bass with in a bunch of bands together, including Quarter Inch Fuse. A lot of the people that you and I know now as adults were there when we were kids. Yeah, we did a set. I think we did a cover of Glycerine. Like, that was real heavy because we hated Bush. We did like Pinball Wizard, I think Knocking on Heaven's Door. I do remember we did the Megadeth version of Paranoid, which was pretty awesome.
Okay.
And we closed with For Whom the Bell Tolls.
All right.
Because Connor Fortune was older than us and a really good guitar player, and he could nail all those solo parts.
Nice.
So we kind of like had the secret weapon, We were like the 15-year-olds with the sick guitar player, and I knew all the drum parts. So that was our first gig.
And what was the name of that band?
Oh my gosh, what did we go by? We pulled it out of Murph and the Magic Tones. Yeah, that's because we couldn't think of like what were we gonna pick? Like I didn't want to pick some stupid lame like We Are Death Incarnate or something like that. Like, don't get me wrong, I love all, me, I listen to all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
I just don't want to name my band something like that.
Yeah. Well, it's like one of the episodes, one of the interviews I did was with from the guy from the band Shitkill. I was like, how'd you come up with that name? He's like, well, we were on our way to our first Battle of the Bands open mic thing, and we're driving up through New York, and everything is this kill, that kill. We're like, let's call our band Shit Kill.
Yeah. Oh, that's hilarious, dude. Well, you remember Fuckface?
Yeah.
That was another one of those bands, a local band for those who remember, a bunch of really talented musicians. and just wrote the weirdest shit.
It's crazy to me thinking back on that time because, as I said when I talked to Craig, like the Sufferance,
Sufferance
like
was out.
That general time was like a big deal in my life. We were at the Sufferance band practices every week.
I know you were. Yeah, I know. I remember because you and Craig have always been really, really tight.
We were talking the other day. We've known each other like 22 years, 23 years, something like that.
Crazy.
We didn't like become friends until the coffee house, actually. Right. But like we had met because when I was in high school, and I was an anime nerd in high school, and some of the other anime nerds, they're like, "Hey, we're gonna go over to my..."
Oh yeah, Craig's an anime nerd too.
Well, yeah. So he's like, "We're gonna go to my sister's boyfriend's house to watch anime." Right. Sister's boyfriend was Craig.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, he was totally an anime nerd. Well, is.
Yeah.
And by the way, we're using nerd in a loving way, so don't anybody get upset.
But what I was going to say is that it's crazy to me that all of that stuff, you think about it now like, oh, everything's on the internet. I can't find, because all of those bands were done by then. There is no Sufferance. There is no Fuckface.
There's no quarter-inch
on the internet. There's no
we had a MySpace page.
Yeah.
We used to have a MySpace page.
Yeah, so how did that... That I remember. I think you guys had two of them because
while our singer, he had some substance abuse issues that we weren't aware of at the time, and he like when we were like, no, we don't want to play with you anymore because you've stolen all of our money. He tried to create another page with our music without any of our likenesses.
Oh, see, I thought it was when you guys switched bass players that you had a new, because the old bass, because I thought there was a thing where the old bass player had the MySpace and you guys didn't have access to it, so you had to make a new one.
That's possible. I don't see him being that petty, but I guess
I don't know.
Well, I mean, his stage name was Mikey Anger, so it could have been. That could be. You might know better than I would. You are also the only person to ever buy a quarter-inch Fuse DVD.
I have it still floating around here somewhere.
Oh man! So we did a when Katrina happened in 26 days. I pulled together a fundraising effort at the Sussex County Community College. We got a bunch of bands. Most of them were college students. And we raised money for the Red Cross Disaster Relief Fund because I said I was a nerd. I was president of the broadcasting club. We actually, it was the first event from the college that had ever been broadcast live on the cable channel. The cable company came and ran special cables so that we could do this live. And we raised a bunch of money, and they continued to run it for years afterwards. I could tell you, I remember a night I was in the Vernon Inn singing karaoke, and they used to have a TV on the wall. And there was a guy who was having a great evening and was very intoxicated, and I'm singing, and he's looking at me, and looking at the television, and looking at me, and looking at the television, going, "Huh, you're a guy on the TV?" Don't get me wrong, man. There's no ego about it. It's a small town. But the thing is, it is a small town, and it's cool when your friends see you on a TV in the bar. I'm not famous. I don't have no money, but it's just like, it's a cool thing. You're like, oh, wow. I guess that thing that I did like 5 years ago is still pretty cool.
Yeah. So how did the original, with Mike, how did Quarter-Inch Fuse come together initially?
Wow. Who reached out to me? I don't know if it had to be Mike. Mike must have reached out to me because I think he was probably the one I was closest to at that point. I did not know John. I knew Daryl, but very, very, very little. Yeah, so he had reached out to me, and we went to John's house in Barry Lakes, and I jammed with Daryl like once, and I was like, "Hey guys, I haven't played in a couple of years. I'm rusty. I'm just going to be straight about that. Like, I'm excited to do this, but I might not be up to speed." And Daryl and I joke about this all the time. Like, he threw me out of the band. He was like, "Yeah, no, I don't want him coming back." Well, Daryl joined the reserves, went off to Afghanistan, I believe. He was either in Afghanistan or he was in Iraq, but I remember he was away in active duty. They had another singer come in, and I got a call. It was a couple months later, and then all of a sudden, they liked the way that I'm jamming with them. Cool. The singer didn't work out. They found Wayne who was our singer, roaming around backstage rehearsal studio in West Patterson.
See, I didn't even know you guys had gone through other singers beforehand.
Yeah, well, we had like a couple of rehearsals with one guy, but it was obvious that he had a problem with pills. The guitar player, John, didn't even drink brown soda, and I would never have a drop of alcohol until my drum kit was put away. That's just my deal. Like, if other people are relying on me, I don't want a chance that that I'm gonna fuck it up. So that's my thing. And as we found out later, our buddy Wayne was a great performer, but partied way too hard.
Right. No, I remember years later when there was that big
bust,
drug string,
and he was in the paper next to his dad.
Oh, I didn't know that. But
yeah, and you know me, you know that like I don't run in that kind of circle.
Yeah.
That's not no, thank you. I'm a family guy. You guys want to come hang out at my house, have a couple of drinks, do whatever legal things your state allows, and chill out in my backyard. I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah.
Other than that, nah, man. Like I got kids and
right.
So yeah, I don't put up with that kind of stuff. And I feel like if I'm in a band with somebody, I need to take them seriously, because otherwise it's disrespectful to them too.
Right.
You know, like I used to go. They used to laugh at me because I would go on stage with a gallon of water and a big bottle of Powerade.
Yeah.
And you saw quarter-inch fuse a bunch of times. Like the stuff that I wrote that was original, I was writing at the edge of my ability, so I could not be the least bit slippery, because it was hard enough for me to get it right, and I wrote the damn parts.
Yeah, you're right. I saw you guys. I'm fairly certain I was at that show at the college. I saw you guys when they still did, and I don't know why they don't.
Rock and Wrestling?
When they I was at that. I was at that. But what I was gonna say is they don't really do, as far as I know, they don't really do rock shows or any kind of concerts at Mountain Creek anymore.
Right.
And you guys played there.
I never played at Creek.
Yeah, you did.
No way, dude.
Because I remember that you guys, because I remember it was one of those shows where your sound guy came up to play Black Sabbath.
We played at Creek?
You did. Like right when you...
Oh my God! We played outside.
Yes.
And there was snow on the ground.
I believe there was.
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that show. Oh yeah, that's right. So my kit was chrome back then.
Yeah.
I had my big monstrous mirror chrome 9-piece double bass Tama kit. That's right. I forgot we played outdoor. You know what's funny? I would never take that kit out. Like, I wouldn't do a cold outdoor show like that. That's why when we did the thing in my house, I had a tent. I'm like, that's white. That stuff can get hot way too easy in the sun, and then it gets wrecked. I totally forgot we did that Mountain Creek show, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad you reminded me. I really, it was in all fairness, we're talking like 2006.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But holy shit, I forgot. Wow. Man.
And then
this is why you're good at what you do, bro.
And there was another, I don't remember where, it was in some sort of, like a small VFW or something.
Oh, Oakland Elks Lodge.
And O'Mealy came out.
Yep. Oh, yeah, Chris O'Mealy used to come out all the time, and John Salinas, Johnny Toxic, that whole crew, and they would bring, who else used to come out?
Joey Image.
Oh, yeah, Joey. Oh, my God. Oh, I love that dude. He's hilarious. Yeah, those guys, they all used to come out and watch us. That was so much fun. And then, I can remember us all going to the Pompton Queen afterwards.
Yeah.
I feel like that is like an essential Jersey music experience.
Yeah.
Hey, we went out to see my buddy's band. Maybe we drank a little too much. Now we're at the diner at 3 a.m. ordering everything that they make, and then we'll go home.
The thing that's annoying now is that post-COVID, a lot of businesses, restaurants, etc., that were open late or open 24 hours are not anymore.
Yeah.
Like the Pompton Queen closes at 11 o'clock.
I know.
The TikTok Diner, the Park West Diner, they don't stay open late. I was talking on the Starland Ballroom Facebook page yesterday, because somebody was like, hey, you guys got to update the ad that plays on your screen for IHOP, because IHOP's not 24 hours anymore. And I was like, yeah, man, I'd always go to either IHOP or the Denny's next door, and neither of those are 24 hours anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And look, that kind of stuff used to hit me pretty hard because I used to drive tractor trailer. I know you know that.
Yeah.
So like I would drive overnight a lot, and it's tough. It's tough enough to find places for a truck, to stop to get something to eat. But then, when you see these options disappearing, and forget about during COVID, if you had to use a restroom anywhere, good luck. You, unfortunately, were relegated to whatever wood you could find.
Right.
Because nobody would let you use the bathroom. Oh, my God, you're going to kill my entire family.
Right. Yeah, even now, because I work till 2 a.m. most nights.
Oh,
and so, the Walmart down the road from my job, used to be, it was a dumb thing Casey and I used to do when we were younger. All right, we got nothing to do on a Thursday night. Let's go hang out at Walmart. And the Walmart doesn't stay open. The
Middletown one?
Yeah.
It's not 24 hours anymore?
They were saying, one of the ladies that works there was telling me Walmarts in general, corporate just decided, nah, we're not going to do it anymore. So, none of the Walmarts stay open 24 hours in the whole country anymore.
Wow. I just saw that they're going to be closed again for Thanksgiving this year. I saw that, yeah. I'm happy to see that, though, because that's not fair to the people who have families who work in those stores.
Yeah.
Nobody's getting off on those days.
Yeah.
Nobody.
So, yeah, no, I did see that. This is the fourth year in a row that they're opting to not be open. But, yeah, the only things that are open on my drive home when I'm coming home from work at 2 a.m. are Quick Check and the McDonald's up in Middletown is open, but they only have about 20% of the menu available after 10 p.m.
Right, right. And look, it's understandable why these corporations have made these cutbacks. I get it, but it's still, unfortunately, everyone has created an environment where everything's available all the time, and now they're starting to realize it wasn't profitable.
Yeah.
It's less profitable than it used to be, but now people are realizing the value of what they had because they're losing it.
Right. Well, it's going back to when we were talking about being at the coffee house. I remember many a night after the coffee house, or after Bucket of Love night at the coffee house,
night,
just stumbling around the A&P because A&P was open 24 hours.
Right. And you could get something to eat even if you were broke. The grocery store was a great place because you could get a loaf of bread for $1.25. If you had $2 in your pocket, just bring home a loaf of bread. It's true though. And we used to the Sussex Queen Diner.
Yeah.
That was a popular spot. Even though it's the Sussex Sit and Chat. My almost 7-year-old calls it the Sussex Queen because we taught him properly.
That's awesome, dude.
It is awesome, man. It is. And the one guy whose family owns it, Haron, he's usually a host. I've known him since I was in high school. And I told him, I said he loves Harry.
Yeah.
And I said to him, Harry, tell him what the name of this place is. And he says, Sussex Queen. And dude, he was laughing. He got a big smile on his face. I was like, you see, we taught him the right way.
So
anyway,
circling back to Quarter Inch Fuse, and
yes.
I only bring it up because you said it. You said that, you guys, your singer had issues and that's where all the money went. So is that why the DVD was the only thing you guys ever had? You never really had a demo or an album or anything?
We had about $2,500 that we had put aside. When we would do those Oakland Elks Club shows, Wayne was actually in charge of organizing those shows. Mm-hmm. So any proceeds that we get, of course, we paid out Billy McGee, who is our sound guy and still a really awesome sound guy and still outperforming. We would pay, obviously we needed a sound guy and Billy was great, so we'd pay Billy out. And whatever Wayne would get out of there went into our Quarter Inch Fuse pile for a demo. We were looking at about $2,500 to $3,000. We thought we could probably press an EP.
Yeah.
I guess one of the guys knew the guy who owned Blue Meanie and he was he was going to offer some sort of discount, so we had saved that. And then we got to that point, and then Wayne told us the money was all gone. And then John very smartly just made himself disappear because I think he would have turned Wayne into a stain on the ground. But it sucks because, that band was fun. We had a good time. We had a decent following. We didn't think we were anything special. It wasn't like, man, we were so good. Everybody loved us. I think we were just fun.
Yeah.
It was high energy. You know, it wasn't, we didn't play anything crazy complicated. We weren't doing Slipknot.
Right.
You know, but we did some Anthrax covers. Like, we did Got the Time.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that. And we totally pulled out Bring the Noise. Just pulled it out of nowhere one night at a show. Never played it before. And somebody was like, Bring the Noise. And I was like, okay. And John just literally sat there and went, meow, meow, just pick slides. I'm like, this is perfect, you know? And like, I even, in the rap section, I even switched to the right beat. You know, he does that, what the fuck is that? That's from the James Brown, the funky drummer beat. That's doom doom bop, ticka ticka doom bop. But like, I think people just had fun when they came out to see us, you know? That was a big thing. You remember, it was like most of the people that we hung out with.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I didn't care about making money. For me, it was like getting to hang with my friends, play, and then get off stage and get to hang with my friends again.
Right.
Like that, to me, like that's so much more fun than, you know, worrying about money and stuff. And that's, you know, that's why I never really pushed hard to do it professionally. We have friends who are successful at doing it professionally. Yeah. And God bless them, because it's a job. People don't think, they're like, oh man, that's so cool. Bro, you know what our friends go through to do what they do for a living. And I'm thinking specifically about Zacher and the guys from Frankie Goes to Dollywood. Yeah. And all the projects they've been involved in and touring and stuff. Yeah. That's work. People don't realize that. Just because you love music doesn't mean it's not a job. Right. Because that's it. If you don't do that, you ain't bringing money home.
Right. So yeah, when you guys, you know, like we said before, you had Mike as your bassist at one point. Mike left, and then you got Chris in, and I
got Chris.
Okay, and I was going to ask how Chris, because I remember Chris. I'm very good friends with his sister, but like I remember Chris from Themes for Francis.
Yes. So that's where Chris and I knew each other before Themes, but that's where we first played together. Okay. Themes for Francis was like an original alternative indie rock kind of thing. And they had gone through a couple of drummers, and they were looking for somebody to fill in. And it wasn't the type of stuff that I was playing at the time, which I think is why it interested me. It gave a lot of room for expression. Mm-hmm. And so I played with these guys with my giant ass monstrous, and it was bigger back then. I had 9 drums, but I had like 16 cymbals, I think. Jesus. Back then. Except that I didn't play it like you would expect it to be played. I played what was appropriate for the music. What I liked was that I had all these options. Yeah. To do, you can do those cool, cheesy, like, boom, da-doom, boom, da-doom, da-doom, because you have 6 toms in front of you. And you can laugh at how stupid it sounds, but the shit sets it up really well, Yeah. And Chris and I just hit it off. Actually, I talked to him last week. We're supposed to get together. He's doing an album, and he wants me to lay drum tracks down. Nice. And I am super excited, because Chris is probably my most favorite person to play with, honestly.
I haven't seen him in a while. The last time I saw him, because like I said, I'm very good friends with his sister Debbie. Mm-hmm. When their mom was sick. I went and visited, and that was the last time I saw him.
That happened towards the end of Quarter Inch Views also. Chris's mom had just gotten sick, and he was like, I gotta go. We're like, yeah, I'm terribly sorry. Please. Yeah. You got to take care of that, and it looks like this is falling apart anyway. So,
I think there was, if I remember correctly, it didn't go anywhere. But after Chris left, I remember there was a brief period of time where Craig was rehearsing with you guys.
Not with me.
No,
I know.
Because I remember him telling. Because again,
all these years I've never jammed with Craig.
Because I remember him telling me
might have jammed with John.
Yeah, I remember him telling me he was because Chris had left, he was playing at John's house, and then I think that either the band ended or Chris might have come back and then the band ended, but like I know that Craig never played a show, but I remember him telling me like, I was rehearsing with those guys. I've
never jammed with him. Huh. Not once. Huh. Well, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, John had a drum set in his house, so anybody could show up and play. It's not, you know what I mean? A lot of times I used his because I didn't want to lug mine in and out for rehearsal.
I've seen him a couple times since when I was working at Lowe's. I remember seeing him and his wife come in, and
they're great people.
I think that
they really are.
I don't know what he's doing
people.
music-wise these days, or if he's doing anything. But I think he was the last I had heard. He was playing with Crushpile
again. Yeah, he's played with Crushpile for a long time, pretty much since Quarter Inch Fuse fizzled out. So after that, I had a punk band.
Oh, really?
You don't know about this?
No, yeah. The only bands that I was aware of you being in was Quarter Inch Fuse, and then the band you were most recently in, 5 Cent Wings.
So Mikey Anger calls me, the first
bass player, yeah,
right, and he says, he goes, "Hey, listen, I know this isn't your thing, but I got this punk band that I'm in now, and they're signed. They're on Riot Squad Records, which Riot Squad was My Chemical Romance's label.
Okay.
They were located right in Boonton. Not in Boonton, I'm sorry. What's the town right before Newark? Oh my gosh, I'm going to get hung because I'm from New Jersey and I'm totally blanking out. Somebody's listening to this going, "It's you moron!" Anyway.
In any event.
In any event. So, Belleville. I'm sorry, Belleville. So I was like, he's like, "Look, we need somebody to lay tracks down. I know it's not your thing, but would you be interested in doing the studio work?" And I listened, and I was like, "Yeah," because it's totally different than what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I got involved. I went to the studio in Belleville, which was pretty cool. It was like an old book factory, but it was a legit studio. Like, the freaking costume closet had all their fucking skeleton Black Parade uniforms from tour. Wow. Yeah, dude. Like, Frankie Iero used to stop by once in a while. So I rehearsed. They liked me. Came time to record, and I was like, "Look, I'm gonna use my drums." And they were like, "Well, we have this one in the studio." I was like, "Yeah, I'm not playing that." Like, I was like, "Look, you said you liked what I brought to the music." I was like, "Now I need you to trust me that I know what I'm doing with my instrument." And they were like, "Okay, well, we'll see what the producer says." So I changed the heads, changed my tuning to which more appropriate to the music. Metal, it was a little more short and punchy. This was like pop punk, so they were like open and ringy.
Yeah.
I set up a larger kit than I would play out with. Like, I did 10, 12, 14, 16, and 18, which in a punk band you don't need it, but you're in the studio.
Right.
And we set up. I play. The producer, he comes in the headphones. He goes, "All right." He's like, "Can you come in the control room?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So, I'm nervous. Like, I had done live sound. I know how to get my drums to sound right live. The little bit of minimal processing, right? So he goes, "Take a seat." And I was like, "Okay." And he hits the playback, and I'm listening to, what I just was fucking around with. And I looked at him, and I was like, "Damn, Todd." I'm like, "How did you process these? Like, this sounds great, And it's all running into Pro Tools. And he goes, "Clunk." He's like, "That's raw." He's like, "No EQ, no compression, no reverb. So why don't you tell me how you got that to sound that way?" And we proceeded to talk for like 2.5 hours. And it was awesome for me because it validated my anal retentiveness about tuning. So that was really cool. I played with them for a while. The singer and the guitarist, they like to get drunk and take pills, and they got nasty. And we played at the Clash Bar in Clifton with what was Bob Lamaro's old band? Bar Fight, American Bar Fight.
Yeah.
We played with American Bar Fight. So like, a lot of my our older metal friends are there. Guys that I looked up to that are 5 years older than me, out to see us. We're killing it. The guitarist apparently breaks a string and decides to smash his semi-hollow body to pieces on stage. I'm not that kind of musician,
right?
Like, to the point that I used to, even as a kid, like when Nirvana would start smashing their shit, I would change the channel. Like, I don't like that. I don't like that stuff.
Yeah.
It's not for me. I don't like that thing. When I was a kid, I used to think you could give that away to a school or a kid who can't afford something. And as an adult, I'm like, you're just an idiot. It's not my thing. Shortly after that, I was like, it's not this isn't gonna fly. Like I'm thoroughly embarrassed, and like have my friends there and be playing with my friends' bands, and it's like, what the hell are you guys thinking?
Yeah.
Like really, it was really disappointing.
Yeah,
but. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is a long ass time ago, bro. And, I hope that they're all doing well.
Yeah.
I mean, even recently, I think there was some personality conflicts with the guys that I was playing with recently. It was a lot of fun. The music was really great. And, I think that they're going to do really well. They've been together for, a year and a half or 2 years, and they played their first gig this summer at my house at the parties, so that was pretty awesome. And I'm sure they're going to be fine. I think they had somebody that they were checking out, and man, we're all adults and we all have adult lives. Like, I wish I could rehearse like I did when I played in that funk band. Okay, I'd either rehearse 3 nights a week and play 4, or rehearse 4 and play 3. I mean, I was single and in my late 20s or mid to late 20s, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
But like I don't have that kind of time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, and I can't wrap my head around that.
So one thing I wanted to ask you about, because it's come up a couple times since we've talked, and it comes up whenever we talk, is your drums.
Yeah.
Because I remember you had your kit and you didn't, and then you got it back. And I kind of I kind of want to know that whole that whole process of how why you got rid of it and how you managed to find it again.
2002, I worked at Guitar Center in Totowa. Guy comes.
I remember that because a couple years later you were still working there. We did a Ren fair at that hotel, and I was like, Andy, come by. You like came over on your lunch break.
That's something. Right. Yeah, well, because we used to go to the bar over there was Doc's. We used to go over there to eat lunch. Like, if we had a lunch hour and we had a good week, like, you go over and have a steak and a soup.
Yeah.
So I'm working at GC in Totowa. It's 2002. I start talking to this guy who's got a bunch of electronic kits, and he's got this old Tama kit. He says Tama. It's Tama. See, you guys can't see, but I'm wearing a Tama.
I'm putting this up like
I know. I saw that. That was hilarious. Yeah, he just held the recorder up so you could hear the stitching on my hat. So I look at the picture, and these are legit pictures because this is 2002. Phones were still potatoes. So I was like, bring the stuff in. I see a 9-piece double bass Tama kit, and I'm like, my pants are getting short because like this is what I've wanted since I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
So I talked to the guy. I worked out a very fair deal. He got the money he was looking for because he ate a lot of electronic stuff that was still in excellent condition and worth it. And I only put like $200 into the drum set. And my store manager wouldn't let me buy it because he knew I wanted it. So at the time I was dating our friend Christina. I called up her stepdad, Doc, who worked at Bach to Rock. He was their guitar tech. I was like, Doc, I need you to come down to the store after work with the truck. You're going to buy a drum set with my debit card. I'll load it into your truck, and I'm going to come by after work and pick it up. I was like, they're breaking my balls. I need this drum set. And he goes, yeah, sure, no problem. So for $225, I got that entire kit. It was rough. It had been sitting in a basement forever. I took it home. I took it all apart, took all the hardware off, cleaned everything, got it perfect. In that time period, Roy Burns, God rest his soul, from Aquarian Drumheads, had reached out to me at the store because he was trying to get people to promote his product, and he sent me 18 brand new drum heads.
Oh, wow.
For that kit. And I started playing Aquarian. And I played it out chrome like that. That was Themes for Francis time. Things died down. Music wasn't looking good. I bought a car I wanted to play with. I sold my drum set back to the store.
Okay.
Year or two later, I'm playing with 1/4-inch Fuse. We've done a few gigs. I've borrowed drum sets. 2 weeks before Christmas, I'm in Guitar Center, and I see a chrome Tama kit, but it's like a 22, like an 18, a 13, and a 10. Pieces that you would not normally see together in a set. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at that, and I'm going, looks like half of a double bass kit. Like, who the hell nobody would have this kind of configuration. And then I walk around the corner and I see the 12, the 14, the 16, and the other 22. And I'm literally like standing, looking back and forth, like I'm double taking, you know? And holy shit, it was my drum set. They split it into two sets. Somebody had sold it back to the store. I bought it back. Did the whole 1/4-inch fuse thing. Before I moved to Boston, big mistake, I sold my set. Didn't play drums for 10 years. 2000, Loretta and I get together 2015. 2016, she's looking for a birthday present for me. Decides she wants to get me a drum set because she knows I miss it. She buys me one, keeping it a secret. The next day, she comes to me and she goes, "Look, I was trying to do this. I bought you this drum kit." And I'm super excited. She got me a 5-piece black Tama set. It's my original kit.
Yeah,
she actually found my original kit. She got it from somebody in Lafayette.
Oh, nice.
She goes, "But I saw this ad on Let Go, and I think it might be that drum set that you used to talk about all the time." And I'm like, you know, so you know, I look like that. I look like the fat cat heavy breathing meme. And I'm looking at the thing, and I'm blowing it up, and I'm looking at the bass drums, and I see like very specific scratches. The logos that were on the heads, I had cut at a vinyl shop. They weren't screen printed like standard bass drum logos because they had worn off, and I didn't want to replace the original stock heads. So I had a vinyl shop actually cut the Tama decals. So I'm going, yeah, there's no doubt, dude. This is mine. And it was up in Wurtsboro, New York, like 2 hours from here. I get a hold of the guy on the phone. Super cool. He's super excited. I found my old drum set. He just like found his old car like a year before that he had in high school. So like he totally got it. Gave me a good deal. Gave me a bunch of extra pieces because I had zero, mind you. I hadn't played drums in 10 years. I had nothing. A bag of sticks. He gave me stands he had laying around, crappy cymbals he had laying around. Like, here, man, I know you don't have anything. I don't need this. This stuff is junk. Like, you know, but it's good enough. And I was like, dude, please, you don't have to apologize. You're good. Like, thank you. And I played it a little bit, and it sat stacked. And I started going to church, and then I wanted to play at church. And you know, it took a little while. Pastor wanted to make sure I was going to stick around, and I wasn't just going to be a hammerhead and show up for 3 weeks, and they were going to rely on me, and then I'm gone.
Yeah.
I can't blame him for that. So I played. They have an old Tama Swing Star kit. I think it's like an '84, and I was like, "Hey, Pastor, do you mind if I like bring some of my drums in?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't care." So I brought. I used their cymbals because I had terrible cymbals. And I brought like a 5-piece version of the Chrome kit. And then I started thinking like, you know, I rewrapped a snare drum. She bought me a snare drum and I rewrapped it in this cool Galaxy printed wrap. And I was like, you know, I think it's time to, when COVID hit, because we weren't at church, I was like, I think it's time to start rewrapping this kit because I looked at doing it all the way back in 2002 when I first got it, and I talked to Loretta about it, and we decided like that was my COVID project, man. I got out of one hobby that I was in. I sold all the gear and I rolled it into doing this, and I did everything by hand. I took the kit down to the bare wooden shells and threw everything away and started from scratch. So I have been over every single inch of that instrument, and I love it, man. Like, that's mine.
Yeah.
You know, like, I put it up on one of the drum groups I'm in was doing a roast my kit. So I put it up, you know. I got a couple of good, the one guy, and you'll appreciate this because you're a metalhead. The one guy goes, "I bet that thing sounds like a pool noodle smacking a wet tarp." And I was like, dude, you win. I'm like, you win. That's fantastic. Like, it's such a metal. And he's like, I love them, by the way. I was like, no, thank you. But seriously, that was like the best one I've ever heard. I had my friend Alex came by last week, and you know, I showed him the kit, and like I played for like a minute or two, and he's like, they're so thick. I was like, I know. I was like, they're set up this way on purpose. I'm like, the kit that I use at church is the exact same kit. It's the same kit. I've got coated heads on it. I've got it tuned differently. I use different sticks, but it's the same. It's the same wood, you know. But it's. I mean, you've heard it. I fell in love with that kit. I think playing with 1/4-inch fuse. it always sounded exactly like I wanted it to. And I spent a lot of money on parts. I mean, it was like $6,500.
Oh, wow.
And I did all the labor myself. I could have bought a high-end kit for that.
Yeah.
I could not buy what I have. You know, yes, it's a Tama Rockstar, which means it's Philippine mahogany and basswood. It's not super tone wood. They are made in Japan, which is a big difference because Tama only had one factory in Japan. So they got made by the same craftsmen that were making the high-end stuff. And because of the way they did things in the older days, the shells are thicker. That changes the characteristics of your sound. The toms are super deep. They're power toms. And it adds a natural like thickness and almost like a compression to the raw sound of the drum. And that's not to say new stuff is amazing, but because technology has changed, shells are much thinner now.
Right.
The drums are a lot shorter, and they sound good, but it's not the same for me.
Right.
Like, both of those kits are Japanese-made rock stars, tuned completely differently, and when I sit down at either one of them, I'm happy with what I hear immediately because it always sounds exactly like I want it to. And you know, that was a big thing for me. I knew I couldn't $6,500 I could not buy a double bass white and black kit with power toms and fucking thick ass shells like that. Well, it's not happening. So, I mean, I will never recoup what I spent in parts ever. That's not a question. It was not an investment. It was a toy.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, I got to be clear about that because there's some guys on the drum groups that are like, what the hell are you doing, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I understand that. Like, I like what I have, though. I've done a lot of studio work with it in a variety of different stuff. And if I really like the sound, well, I can change the appearance. Yeah. I can change the appearance.
Yeah.
You know, and that was like my thought. And then, you know, I ran away with it and got super anal like I do with everything else.
Well, I remember, I don't know what the show was. There was some show, some podcast that O'Mealy had. I think it might have been Jersey Rain.
No, it was the nerds at the lunch table, the nerd table.
Oh, it was the nerd table.
I was on the nerd table.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I remember when you were doing, you were on whatever the show was, and you were doing it, and then like we had fallen out of touch because you weren't on social media.
I was not on any social media for 4 years,
and you had changed your phone number. Because you were talking to O'Mealy, and then I remember this came up actually in my Facebook memories recently. As I texted the number I had for you, and I know I sent you the screenshot of it. I texted the number I had from you. I was like, "Is this still Andy's phone?" Apparently, I haven't texted it in X amount of years. And whoever belongs to the phone number at that point, they're like, "Well, this is Andy's at school right now. This is Buzz Lightyear."
And
then he's like,
"That's right, I remember."
He's like, "But actually, it's no, sorry, dude, wrong number."
That's pretty rad. That's hilarious, man.
And so then I'd ask Chris if, you know, he could give me your number. And
we got hooked back up again.
Yeah.
I miss that Nerd Table podcast was fun. Eric was his co-host.
Yeah.
I had a great time with those guys, man. That was a lot of fun. Yeah. That whole show, it was really a blast. It was a good time. But I had to call in, so it sounded like crap, which is why I wanted to do this face to face.
I prefer to do it this way when we can.
I think it's easier to bounce too because you can read body language and expressions. And, nobody here can see it, but because I'm half Sicilian, I have to talk with my hands. My left hand hasn't stopped moving the entire time we're talking.
But I don't know what he's. I don't know if they're planning on bringing that back. I know that
they are. He's got some things he's doing.
Yeah, I know that he rebranded the Facebook page, and he's got a lot. He's always got something going. I've known Chris. The reason that, and I don't know if I ever told you this, the reason that Chris and I became friends was back in high school. He had a Pokemon website, and it was this really, really involved Pokemon website. And there was a kid that I was friends with that was a grade below me who'd known Chris from middle school, lived in my neighborhood. And he's like, he had gotten me into Pokemon. And he's like, dude, this guy I know, he's got, because I guess he had Warwick for his internet provider. And at least at the time, they gave you like the tools and the domains to like make a website.
Yes, you could actually do that back then.
Yeah, so he had this Pokemon website he called Muse Pokemon Page. And so like this kid, James, he was like, all right, like you should meet this guy, Chris. we used to start, our friendship started out by like me and James having 3-way calls with Chris. And then one day I was just like, called Chris on my own. I was like, hey, James isn't on the line, but I figured like we've talked enough. Like we're friends now.
Yeah.
And we've been friends ever since. So that was, 98.
Chris is good people, dude. He's good, solid.
But he's like always had something. He had the Pokemon thing, and then that turned into, at one point when he was doing that, it was he even started doing like fan fiction where he wrote this like stories of us in the world of Pokemon as trainers.
That's awesome.
And we had teams and everything. It was cool. And life got in the way. But then he's always been.
And for those of you who don't know Chris, he was also a safari driver at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Amongst a bunch of positions, but he really enjoyed the safari driver job. Can you see him doing that, dude? I wish when I was down there, he was working in Epcot, which was awesome because he hooked me up with a great spot to see the fireworks. But like, I wish I could have gotten a ride on one of his safari tours because like I know him and his presentations must have been amazing.
Yeah. And then I think that he was but like I said, he's always had a project. He had the Pokemon. He was in wrestling. He's podcasts. He's in wrestling again now.
Yeah. And doing the Pokemon thing. See all the cards he's making?
Oh, that's right. He's doing the Pokemon
all those
training.
cards.
He's getting back into Pokemon.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, I've helped him with
it's
some
all
of those.
going in circles,
I've helped
man.
him with like, there's one that he hasn't put out yet. My kids were like, we went to go back in May to see the pirate metal band Ailstorm.
Yeah, I remember. I saw.
And the kids were like, kids love Ailstorm. And they're like, Chris should make a Pokemon trainer card for Chris Bowes, the singer of Ailstorm.
I remember.
So I reached out to Chris, and like he and I did it. He hasn't put it out yet.
Oh, he hasn't put it out.
He actually messaged me like probably 2-3 weeks ago and said, "Hey, so we put this together, and I need to write up the descriptions of why these Pokemon are on the team." And I forget why we picked them, and I haven't been able to get back to him yet. So he's moved on. I'm sure it'll come out at some point once I can touch base with him and say, this is why we did these things.
That's so cool. See, and these are the ways where social media and technology is really awesome.
Yeah.
Because we're able to do that, and Chris lives 3 hours away from us.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that, if he and I haven't talked in a couple of weeks, I can just send him a meme, a Simpsons meme, or a wrestling meme, and like he'll get that and he'll know that I was thinking of him.
Right.
Like for that kind of stuff, man, technology has done wonders. But, there's always the ugly side.
Right,
too.
right. And that kind of dovetails into the question I ask everybody on the show, is how do you feel about where the music industry is now, where everything we were talking before we turned on about Spotify and all these streaming things and how nobody buys music and how it turns into this thing where like the general public at this point is like, well, nobody really, bands make all their money at shows, so what do you got to buy the music for?
But they don't. That's the thing. And the formula, I watched Snoop Dogg talk about this.
Yes, I saw this.
I'm sure everybody has seen it. And he's like, I'd like to know how the hell I'm getting paid, because I got 1 billion views and the money ain't adding up.
Right.
And you know what? That's a God's honest truth. That's that man's work. So what if it's recorded and can be listened to infinite number of times?
Right.
Like that's still, or the band, whatever. There's a lot of people involved there who need to be paid properly for the work that they did. And, I feel pretty strongly about it because, when we were coming of age, you had LimeWire.
Right. Or
Napster. Napster was out. It was LimeWire and Kazaa, Morpheus.
Yeah.
And I had a huge music collection, but I also had all the frickin' CDs for the stuff I downloaded. It was more to get it on the computer.
Right.
But I think it's really important that an artist is paid for their work. I think constantly you get, exposure. Well, that's baloney.
Right.
Like this, I'm doing a job. I need to be paid for it.
Yeah.
And I run a DJ business with my business partner. And we get paid for our work.
Right.
We volunteer for things also, like we donate our time. There's organizations that'll look to hire us. Like there's the Civil Air Patrol. I know some who has a few children, and so she's involved, and they wanted to hire me for Halloween. And she's like, "Oh, what do you charge? It's for the Civil Air Patrol cadets." And I said to her, I was like, "Forget it. Like, No. Well, we're not looking for a donation. I know, but like my business partner and I donate our time for certain organizations where we feel it's just not right to take the money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like obviously that kind of stuff aside, those are outliers. You have to get paid for what you do.
Yeah.
You know, it's not fair that people, they look sometimes poorly at folks who've been successful because they're loaded. The guys from Metallica, they got more money than they'll ever know what to do with. And people are like, oh, what do they need the money for? They don't need more money. That's not, for me, it's not the amount of money. It's the principle.
Right.
Those guys created that stuff. That's their intellectual property, and they should be properly compensated when people use their intellectual property.
Right.
That's just how I feel about it. I mean, doesn't mean they need to get paid $10 every time Master of Puppets gets played, but it also doesn't mean they should get a half a penny every time it's played either. Right. I think that for a long time, the upper echelons of the record industry have really been sucking up a lot of the money.
Yeah.
But then you see people like Taylor Swift, who during her tour gives out $150,000 in bonuses to her truck drivers.
Right.
Because the lady is smart and she realizes without those guys, this show is not going to go anywhere.
Right.
It's, I think the simple answer is they got to get paid. The complex answer is what's a proper rate.
Yeah, and you have all the, and I've never been in the business to know the intricacies, but you've got all of those other things of like figuring, the engineers and not just the band or not just the artist, all of the recording engineers and all of this that should be paid as well. Mm-hmm.
Well, Rob Austin.
Yeah,
So his brother Miles is tour manager for Archspire.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Miles is doing all of the booking and arranging all the everything we're talking about. Miles has been doing.
Yeah, I met Rob at college actually.
Yeah, and he was at that show.
Okay.
That we were at. Yeah, at Starland.
Yeah.
So Miles does all this stuff.
Okay.
Miles does all this management, and that's one of the things that people don't realize about Lars Ulrich. For a long time, he was doing all the back end business of it. So you know what? Maybe the guy is a bit pompous, or was when he was younger. He seems to have mellowed out quite a bit. But you know what? He held that band together a lot. Yeah. For all the crap that people give him, he is the reason that band makes money. That's why there's like Metallica Incorporated, because of him.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that. I didn't know that. I thought he was just a pain in the ass. And when you start to dig in, you're like, oh, dude, this band wouldn't even be around. Even say whatever you want about his playing ability, the band wouldn't exist if it wasn't for his business acumen.
Well, it's like Arch Enemy. When we saw Arch Enemy, the woman who was their singer now, or then rather, is still their manager.
Oh, Angela's managing them?
She stepped back from singing to manage the band.
Wow.
And, they replaced her...
Twice now, right?
No,
She's been replaced twice?
No.
I fell off after she was gone. I tried. The other singer is really good, but I've seen Angela a couple of times live. I saw her at the Chance. I saw her when you and I saw her, and I don't know, dude.
Were they at the when we went to Ozzfest? Did they play Ozzfest also?
They did not. Cradle played one year. Dimmu played the next year.
Because I know that I've seen Arch Enemy at festivals, but I don't know.
Yes, they've been at a ton of they played tons of festivals, but I didn't see them at another festival.
Okay.
We met the bass player that night that we were at Starland. We were talking to him.
Yeah.
For a while. The guy who's taller than me that plays that crazy Rickenbacker. The bass player from...
Taller than you, that's...
Yeah,
I know people taller than you, but that's weird.
There's not many... Eisner, right?
Not Shiz.
Shiz, that's right. Yeah, Shiz is taller than me.
Eisner's about my height.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry.
No,
Shiz is taller than me, and that's not so... I'm 6'6", so it's not often that I look up to people, or even dead in their eyes. Even that's like, oh, man. My friend Roger is 6'5", and he's built just like me. When the two of us stand together, I'm just like, oof. this is kind of scary, man. I'm big and I'm looking at this going, oh, this is not, is this a safe spot in the floor? You know? I can't help myself.
Yeah, you know. But, I know that I've definitely seen them because I think that we went to Ozzfest together in 03.
I know, 04.
And 04.
Yes.
But I went every year from 02 to 07, which was the last.
Those two so we have to talk about the land speed record.
Jesus Christ.
So we're at Craig's house in Highland Lakes in the morning, and I was 23 at the time, and I was a total hammerhead, and I bought a brand new car that I did a bunch of modifications to, and we went past Smoke Rise, and I passed a Honda S2000 like it was standing still, and I realized I was doing 120. And we made it from Highland Lakes to PNC Arts Center in an hour and 5 minutes or something like that.
That was the thing, ridiculous. Like when we were going down the highway, fucking Parkway or whatever, and I'm driving Casey's fucking...
The Maxima?
Yeah.
The old Maxima?
Yeah.
The big square nose one. Yeah.
And I'm like, fucking... there's no more numbers.
I remember you called me. You're like, where are you? I ran out of speedometer. You were in the express lanes going across the swamp at Cheesequake. That's where you are. That's exactly where you are. I remember. Because I remember I flew past. I was in the local, and I freaking zinged past you guys. It's like, oh, there's Jay. But I was a kid. I do not condone driving like an idiot. It's a terrible idea.
Oh, yeah.
But that was a record-breaking trip, though. I can't believe I made it down there that fast, dude. I was just hammering it.
And I loved going to I love going to shows. People know that about me. You know that about me. I was talking to my friend Shay yesterday, and I was saying
who I also know.
Yeah. Ever since
I met her at she was
the
doing
other coffee house.
No, before. So she was doing a theater thing at St. Thomas Church when I was playing in Deems for Francis. That's the first time I ever met Shay. Right. And I was like, wow, this girl's like 14 and she curses more than I do. She seems like she's pretty cool. And then she started popping up at the coffee house after that.
Yeah, she was friends with my sister in middle school and used to hate me. And then we became friends, and we became friends when Mary Ann's coffee house closed, and we all started going to
Gary's.
Gary's, it was at Mountain Creek, and she was working there at the time.
Yep.
But I was telling her that, like, ever since we bought the house, and adulting has taken over, like, I've just got to do less shit, and it sucks. I was talking to Charlie about this on the last show. Like, I don't get to go to shows as much as I would like to, but, I love going to shows. I love music, I was able to go, and... the last episode, we talked about Pantera. I know that I talked about this with you a little bit.
Yeah, we had a private conversation about it. Yeah.
Well,
not private.
Yeah, but like real quick, because I know that you got places to be, so I don't want to keep you too long. But I want to get your opinion on the current state of Pantera.
I think people are giving Zakk Wylde way too much shit. I think what they're doing is really great. I think, and again, this is all my personal opinion. It's not gospel.
Yeah.
Because I know there's opinions all across the board about this whole thing. I think that they're doing a really good job to honor the Abbott brothers. I know some people don't feel that way because Phil's still involved. I think that Phil and Vinny never would have made up because Vinny blames Phil for Daryl getting killed, and it's not Phil's fault. It's not. They all said some shitty stuff to each other. I watched a long interview with Rex. You probably have seen it. And the one thing he said, like, when shit was getting out of control, he was like, boys, we can't be doing this out in public here. You keep the family problems in the family.
Yeah.
And like, I agree. And he didn't even say that, like, emotional. He was just like, that's just not how we do things here. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't think that Vinny would ever forgive. Vinny would never forgive Phil. But I think that those guys are doing a great job. I think Charlie was an excellent choice to fill Vinny's seat. I actually would have liked to see Dave Lombardo. And I love Charlie. Charlie Benante from Anthrax, by the way. Charlie is also a big part of my playing style. Also a Tama player, part of the reason I wanted to play Tama. I watched another guy I watched beat the crap out of his equipment all the time, and it was just like, yeah, it's cool. This is what I'm designed for. I think Charlie's doing a really great job. Those are really big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
And it's not that Charlie definitely has the chops to do it. That is not a concern. It's, you know, the feel isn't quite the same, but I don't think that's Charlie. I can't put that on Charlie. Like, I saw Fear Factory the year Harrison was born in 2016. It was the 20th anniversary of Demanufactured.
Okay.
And I went and saw them. Eric Delhauer and I went to the city to see them. And Mr. Belding actually introduced them.
Oh, yeah. I remember hearing about that.
So that ties into your Dan Florek thing. That was pretty rad because apparently he's been friends with the band for like ever.
Okay.
So not who you would expect to introduce Fear Factory. And he's like, that's right, I'm Mr. fucking Belding. Like he was totally, because everybody went nuts when he walked on stage. And he totally rolled with it. They had a new drummer, and I have watched that. I've seen that guy's other work because he's a monster, but he didn't have the feel that Ray did. Like, he played the parts correctly. I can't play those parts. I used to be able to play some of them when I was younger, but now I'm old and I don't have the time to dedicate to it. But so this is not a critique of him as a drummer at all. It's just, you know, when you have a different player, you have a different feel.
Right.
And it just, the Pantera thing, it feels a little bit different. But I think it's great that they're doing that. I think that they've opened up. And why should Vinny and Rex, why should their magnum opuses die on the vine?
Phil and Rex?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Phil and Rex. I'm sorry. Why should their magnum opuses die on the vine? You know, that's not fair. Bands have been reforming when guys die for as long as music exists. And they just... They gotta take it a little easy on those guys, I think. Yeah. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to see them this summer because I didn't have the money to go. I really wanted to, but I think that they're doing a damn good job, and I think Metallica's doing a great job too. I've seen a lot of their live footage from this past tour, and they're playing really well. You got to realize those guys are in their 60s.
Yeah, I didn't get to go to that. I'd wanted to when they first announced it. But when they first announced it, you had to buy tickets to both days.
That's why I didn't do it.
I was like, I don't really have $400.
I wanted to take my stepdaughter. It would have been like $600 for the two of us. And frankly, I don't have time to go to two different concerts. Like, I get the value.
Yeah.
Like $300 a person for two concerts. You know, I get the value there. But like, I don't have time to go to two concerts either. But
I did like all the extra shit that they planned. Like, they did a thing when they were in Jersey where they had, on one of the days, you could get into the parking lot, you could watch Overkill play.
Right.
Like, and then the other day was Prong. And I was like...
See, that's pretty rad. That's pretty rad. But it's just the money.
Yeah.
Like, you know what it's like. You got kids. You just don't have... I haven't gotten a tattoo in 12 years. You guys can't see me, but I'm sleeved both sides and my legs from the knees down to my ankles. I haven't gotten a tattoo in more than 12 years, actually.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the money to spend on a tattoo. Like, the drum set thing was a big deal, but like I said, I got out of one hobby and rolled a lot of the money back into the new one. But that's how it is when we grow up.
Yeah, I haven't had a tattoo since before the kids were born. 06 was my last tattoo.
But there you go.
I got like money sitting there. I was, someone for Christmas gave me. They're like, here, it's $100. I don't want you to. This is for a tattoo. Right. I don't want you to spend it on anything else.
Right.
And so it's just been sitting in my PayPal, waiting for me to now go find time to do it. But that's been 2006. Was the last time that I did that. So we're gonna wrap up. The last thing I want to ask you before we wrap is you were saying that the band you were in, you're not in the. So what do you've got the drums. I know you play at church. Are you looking to play out? To be in another band? Or?
I would like to. I look for all the reasons we just discussed. I can't practice 3 times a month. I'd be happy if I can get 2 practices a month in, and if I could get out to play once or twice a month, I'd be really happy with that because I like to get out and play. My business partner Ray Sikora, he actually asked me next summer we're gonna get together and go out and play some shows. We're gonna be doing some like old folk rock and country stuff that's like totally different for me.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it because I'm getting a chance to go out and play.
Yeah.
And that's really what I'm going for. I'd like to. My dream has always been to get like a 90s alternative and metal cover band together. I would love to do like Alice in Chains and Slayer and Pantera and Megadeth and Metallica and Pearl Jam and Nirvana, like all the stuff we grew up listening to.
Right.
Like, because our age people would love that at a bar. You would draw a crowd. And I'm not even saying that from a money standpoint in my pocket, but you would bring a bunch of people in and they would have a great time.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like when you do, I know that you are running karaoke. Remember when you used to just do karaoke? And it was always fun to watch you sing. And I have a playlist on my phone of all songs that I like to sing. And every time, one of the songs that's on there, because I remember that, is Darkness by Disturbed.
Oh my gosh, I did it. That's right.
I remember one time you were driving me and Casey home from the coffee house.
Yeah.
And you and I were singing.
Yeah.
And we got near the end and we both fucked up the same way at the same part at the end.
Note. That's right. That last one. That was a great album, by the way. And that song was fantastic gift.
Yeah.
To go from that like ass kicking album to the last song is just like, wow, dude.
We're seeing them live and doing that back to back now with their version of Enjoy the Silence, or not Enjoy the Silence. Sound of Silence.
Yeah, yeah. So I've attempted that, their version of it. I need to practice it. It's definitely. So you haven't seen me out. So now I picked a lot of. I've been doing a lot more softer stuff. Especially because like some of the places that I gig at, like you need to get things started. I can't come out with 7 Mary 3. Can't open up with Cumbersome when I'm at the homestead. So I'll pull out like I do Holding Back the Years by Simply Red.
Okay.
Or What You Won't Do for Love by Bobby Caldwell. Like just shit that you would not expect me, knowing me, to sing. And I've been doing a lot of rap. Too.
Yeah, lately. No, I saw when we were at because you set it up at the party.
Yeah, that's right.
You did Insane in the Brain.
Man, I do. I got 5 on it by Lunas.
Okay.
Oh my god, it always gets the place hopping, man. It's one of those big things that just like it builds the crowd up. They're like, hey, what is this? And then I come out and I absolutely slay it, and they're like, and then next thing you know, there's 10 drunk people who want to come sing a rap song. Great, awesome, sign up, let's go. And just like that, you create a vibe.
Yeah.
And like that's really all the karaoke and the DJing thing. Like I did 2 parties in a row this weekend. It's all about creating a vibe and keeping people happy. It's not as cool as playing my own music on stage, but it scratches the itch.
I've never done like karaoke until I was at your house. Like the closest thing was like
so
playing Rock Band, playing Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
But I think I sing all right.
Oh, I think so too. I you know what, my whole thing, and I tell this to guests at places that I'm hosting at. Like, I don't care if you're awesome or if you suck. Are you having fun? Are you laughing with your friends? Are you going to remember this a week from now when you're like, man, remember that time we went to the bar and we did karaoke? It was so terrible. We had so much fun. That's what's important. It's not getting up here and sounding like you belong on American Idol.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. Like, it's no judgment zone. Come up here, sing whatever the hell you want to. I don't care whether it's something I like or not. It's not about me. I'm there for you.
Yeah. I still, real quick, and then we'll wrap. I still remember back in high school, after we had met, and me and Anthony were trying to put a band together, and like almost had you as our drummer.
Yes, I remember that, dude. I would have been in for that. Definitely would have been in for it. Definitely would have been.
That whole thing wound up not being a thing, but
that's okay. You had options.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to get back to playing because it really brought me kind of back to center, and to be able to like bookend it with getting my kit back, and now it's everything that I've always wanted. Like, I don't need to ever buy another drum set. I'll buy a ton more cymbals, but like, there's not something that I can buy that I'm gonna want more than what I've got. Literally 4 feet from my bed.
All right, man. Well, I want to thank you for coming out today. I always love catching up with you.
Thanks, man. This is really great. I'm sorry we couldn't do this longer, but parent-teacher conferences.
That's all right. You can always
got to do the grown-up stuff. I would love to. I mean, I think
Charlie, who was on the show last, I think it was his 4th time on the show.
Oh, that's awesome. I would definitely love to, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Hell yeah, man.
And from the album And Justice for All, that was Metallica with One. And I know that's confusing because Andy was not ever in Metallica, but let me explain. Because none of the bands that Andy was in have music available online instead of using music that he performed as we normally do on the show, he asked that we include music that inspired him and inspired his playing. And so One from Metallica was one of those songs. Now, initially, Andy had asked to include Archetype by Fear Factory, and I recorded the rest of this outro with that song in mind, and then found after recording all of this that it's not actually on Spotify to include in the show, so we had to circle back and include One. But I'm going to leave in the anecdotes about Fear Factory and the rest of it that comes after this. Fun fact, when I was seeing Fear Factory earlier this year with their new singer, they played that song, and I was texting Andy during the show, and I was like, fucking, and I posted on Facebook too, I was like, Fear Factory just played Archetype. Now, for those of you that don't understand, that song was written during a time that Dino Cazares was not in Fear Factory, and it was basically about how, like, part of the song at least was about how the band was better without him, and now he's the only original member in the band, and before they played this song, he's like, all right, now we're going to play a song that I swore I'd never play, and then they played it, and they did a great job. It was just weird. It was weird for that to take place, but it's cool that they're still playing it. Their new singer, Milo, is fucking great. He was a nice dude. I got to meet him at that show, so definitely check those guys out if you are so inclined to do so. Now, if you want to follow Andy online, you can follow Andy on Instagram at TamaPlayer619. You can also find Andy on YouTube. His YouTube handle is Andrew Kalipetis 7128. If you go onto Andy's YouTube, you can see a bunch of drum cover videos, playthrough videos. There's actually a video I was just watching because I saw it on there of him doing one of the quarter-inch fuse songs, and or like the drum parts. The rest of the song isn't there. They're all drum videos. But definitely go and check that out as well. Don't forget, you can also follow J-Bunny's Music Hub on Facebook, Twitter. Oh no, it's not Twitter anymore. X. I'm never going to get used to that. Facebook, X, Instagram. Just look up J-Bunny's Music Hub. We still have a Patreon that exists. So if you're so inclined to take a look at that, please do so. Don't forget also, if you support music in the way that I do by buying it, you can follow Industry Embers on Facebook or X, and make sure to tweet or post any physical music purchases you make with the hashtag BuyMusic, B-U-Y, or it's BuyMusic, B-Y-E. I guess not physical. I guess the whole point is just buy the music. So even if you buy a download, that counts too. Anyway, do that. And then as for what is next for the show, as you've seen, it's been a bit slower this year when it comes to episodes. That has to do with a combination of me being busy as fuck and working a lot, as I mentioned in the episode with Andy, just like being a busy adult that has less time to do fun things. And then the other sort of challenge is that there's a bunch of, not a bunch, but there's a few higher profile people that are like in line to be on the show, and it's just a matter of trying to find time to schedule with those people. I was off from work a couple weeks ago and reached out to one of them, and our timing didn't line up. But there are still people that are wanting to be on the show that we just have to find time to schedule, and then I've got to find time in my life to make time as well. So I'm hoping to be able to get more done and going into 2024 as well. We're in October of 2023, and this is only the fourth or fifth episode of the year, so hopefully we can do better moving forward. But I appreciate you sticking around, and I think that is all that I've got for you guys today. Now, the other, again, for Andy, we're playing music that inspired him, not music that he played on. So we're going to leave you guys today with the song Becoming by Pantera, and until next time, guys.